Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, folks. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Ranger Jim, and today we're going to be getting back into Pega Academy, or, Pega Certification Study. So, if you're not quite sure who I am, you know, um, so, um, you know, So I'm currently an unemployed software developer whose last job was in software development, in Pega development specifically. And well, you know, got laid off, so now I'm working, or I'm trying to find a new job to start up again. Um, so uh, my attempts to get back in haven't panned out very well, but I mean, I still need to work on trying to get my certification. The last job that I had tried to train us in it, but our our authorized train partner was not really that great. Pretty much the entire team that I was a part of went self-study because we were not really happy with his teaching style, his way of going about doing things. The fact that he put some, he blamed our own like personal computers and like when in fact it was Pega itself that was a problem. I mean, there was a lot. There was a lot that was going on in that one. And his own coworkers knew that we were having problems and saw why, you know, outright, and knew, you know, they knew and didn't really do anything. Or if they did try to do something, it fell on deaf ears because a lot of us were asking to get put back into another training cycle to try to learn Pega the right way, from someone that actually gave a damn, or at least it felt like knew more. Um, but I mean, we move on, right? Um, no, I'm making these videos mainly to ask for the community itself to kind of help me out because I know that I'm going to have some questions while I'm making these videos. So I'm asking for, those that are like veterans, um, Pega managers, Pega leads, um, anyone from Pega Academy to help me out and, answer some of my questions because, I don't know everything that there is to know about this. If you're watching these videos, then I would imagine that that maybe you're also kind of working towards the certifications. Um, so I wish you luck on that. Continue to follow along with these videos as I try to upload them as often as I can, as daily as I can. So hopefully you appreciate that. Hopefully you're continuing to watch, and hopefully you're making strong headwind on your own journey on getting those certifications yourself. So. But know that I'm not an authorized training partner, and this is not meant for an instructor-led training. Okay, I'm not a professional. I don't know everything that there is to know about Pega, um, the Pega environment. So I can't, you know, I'm not going to be able to answer all your questions, but please do ask your questions though. Okay, because even if I might myself might not be able to answer it, maybe someone else in the community will, or maybe we'll have, someone in, like a Pega veteran, lead manager, what have you. Maybe they'll answer the question, or, you know, once I see the question, I will ask those that, I personally met at my last job, um, the individuals that I know that were very experienced with Pega, to be able to answer your questions. Um, so don't be afraid to ask those questions. Okay. Um, I would recommend. Well, okay. I've never had an instructor-led training, so I don't really know. Okay. But from what I understand, it's like a 2-week course. It is like I think 8 hours a day or something like that. It's $5,000, so it's not exactly cheap, or at least not exactly cheap to me. Um, and um, but they will hopefully train you really well to get your certification. Okay. I would ask as many questions as you can if you do go for an instructor-led training. Ask as many questions as you can, not only for the current version, but from previous versions as well. Okay. I took the certification for 8.6. I had Pega 7 questions in the certification itself. Um, so just know that there's a lot of old questions still in the certification process that they haven't completely removed yet. Okay, so be aware of old keywords. Okay, ones that they've changed over time. Now, I'm working towards my system architect certification. Um, there is the business architect certification as well, but we've already finished that. So, going through my current dashboard right at this moment in time. Um, as you can see, I finished off the business architect mission. Okay, 2 missions and 2 modules. These last 2 modules, they all concern the Pega Express delivery. So I would recommend you do this mission right here, the Pega Express delivery, if you're doing the business architect certification. Okay. 13% is going to be covering the Pega Express delivery, so learn as much as you can if you're going for the business architect. That's not my main goal. It might be a secondary, but that's about it. Okay, my main goal is to get that system architect certification. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue working on that. I haven't received any updates concerning my emails, or at least I don't think I have. Hold on a second. Let me look real quick, just in case, because I know that I've been um, sending in uh, changes to um, suggestions, but I haven't gotten any responses lately from Pega. So, from what I understand, they are quite um, busy with trying to update their business architect. So yeah. Okay, let's move on though. We have cascading approvals, 10 minutes. Oh, wow. 5 minutes for the topic, but 10 minutes for the quiz. Hmm. Wouldn't that be the other way around normally? Seems a little odd there. Okay, well, let's go. Okay. A lot of graphics, so doesn't seem like 5 minutes though. But let's continue on. Okay, so cascading approvals. Approvals vary depending on the case type. In auto industry, well, hold on. Let me make sure that everything's yeah, okay. I gotta remember that I've made mistakes about um you know my current layout right at this moment in time. Um, so all right, moving on. Um, Approvals vary depending on the case type. An auto insurance case type may need one approval from the company underwriter. Some case types, such as purchase request or an expense report, may require a series of approvals. A cascading approval process configures a series of approvals. Um, okay. When configuring a cascading approval, consider the following questions. Who needs to perform the approval? How many approvals are required? Is approval by the entire reporting structure required, or is only a subset of the hierarchy? Are approvals outside the reporting structure required? Um, I'd almost say that they might want to kind of explain what approvals are all about, kind of thing. Like, what do they mean by, approvals, kind of thing. Maybe explain that a little bit more, in the sense that, hey, you have an expense report. Like maybe you traveled to another city to do some troubleshooting or something like that, and you came on back. You needed to submit a expense report of everything, the money that you spent on that trip, the food that you spent, the travel, rentals, whatever, right? And you gave it to the business so that they could reimburse you with the money that you spent, right? Um, well, those expense reports might need like, manager approval, HR approval, finance approval, whatever. So so that's kind of what they're talking about. And you might need multiple approvals in order to justify the expense report. Now, if any one of those rejects it, then one would hope that you find out exactly why, because obviously, expense reports is like, hey, I spent my own money getting out here. What's going on here? Um, but yeah, different topic. So, um, cascading approvals with a reporting structure. Cascading approvals based on a reporting structure require the approval of users, direct manager, and higher. You can also configure business logic to set thresholds to determine the number of required approvals. For example, an expense report requires manager approval before the accounting department can process the payment. Depending on the total of the expenses submitted, the expense request may also need approval by a senior manager, a director, and a vice president. So, so if the amount is between $0 and $250, then it would be just the manager. If it's over $250 but below 500, then senior manager might need to look at it. Over 500 but below 2,000 would require the director, and anything over 2,000 would require the VP on this particular expense report, example, right? So, um, now it might, you know, cascading approval might say, hey, you need to get approval by each one of these individuals. Like it might go to the manager first, see if they approve it. Then it might still need to get routed to the senior manager, have them approve it. Then it gets routed to the director. sees that, hey, manager and senior manager are okay with it. Okay, I'll sign off on it. Or maybe they're like, why are you spending this much money on a car rental or something like that. And then they might reject it, maybe, but if they approve it, then it goes on to the VP, and the VP goes, yeah, okay, we have the budget for that, check it off, or whatever. There might be a lot going on in this particular case, okay? So, now if it gets rejected, then, then obviously there's some other things going on there that you might need to address, but, like, hey, you were told to take a client out to a fancy dinner for um, if they approve um, if they are okay with the um, um, if they agree to the proposal or something like that, like they shake hands and it's like, yay, let's go celebrate, let's go have a nice dinner or something like that. Then and then later on the VP goes, well, that was actually a mistake. I didn't really want you to do that much, so I'm gonna reject that. Obviously, that's gonna piss you off, but um, but obviously, that needs to be handled in company and all that jazz, right? So, but whatever. We move on. Cascading approvals with a reporting structure options. You configure cascading approvals in Dev Studio. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about the reporting structure cascading approval options. So, you have a cascading flow type, reporting structure. You go to the reporting manager, and then your approval levels with different levels and stuff like that, which you then customize further. So, reporting structure, custom approval level. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me click on these here. Who completes the approval? The reporting structure approval generates a set of approvers using the information in the user's operator ID record. Either user's reporting manager or the workgroup manager completes the approval. At runtime, Pega platform looks up the appropriate approver based on the current user. Um, the number of approvers, 1, the reporting manager or the workgroup manager, all, the entire manager hierarchy, or custom number of levels is needed to evaluate win rules. So, expense report reimbursement request requires approvals based on the reporting structure and approvals shown in the following image. The number of approvals depends on the amount of the request. So, once again, you have, employee approves all requests, approves all requests larger than $250, approves all requests larger than $500, approves all requests larger than $2,000. So, drag the appropriate level settings below to the corresponding place in the image. So, um, you want this to be more of a custom approval level. Um, so you want manager approves all, senior manager, director, and then VP. Now, if it was only a single level, for example, here, I need to reset this. If it's just the manager, then it would be one approval level, right? If there's only 4 people in the hierarchy, manager, senior manager, director, and VP, then you can go with the all, and then then you have this kind of hierarchy, right? But if there's only, and if there's 4 out of like multiple different people, right? Then that's when you get that custom in there. So, okay, cascading approvals with an authority matrix. A cascading approval based on authority matrix is more flexible than the reporting structure. Use an authority matrix model when configuring a process that requires approvals from multiple entities, with at least one entity outside of the reporting structure. A set of rules directs the approval chain to entities outside of the reporting structure within and external to the user's organization. Expense report that requires approvals outside of the reporting hierarchy, for example, to accounts payable, uses an authority matrix model. An authority matrix data structure population. Cascading approval with an authority matrix requires a configuration of data structure that identifies the approvers. The application queries the structure for each approval until the list of approvals are exhausted. Pega platform provides several ways to populate the data structure. One common approach is to configure a decision table to identify the approval levels and corresponding parties. Pega platform parses the list to populate the data structure. A data page, activity, or data transform can also be used to populate the reporting structure. Following the previous example, an application uses an authority matrix to manage expense reports approvals. The decision table identifies each party in the approval process, as well as conditions that determine each party must provide approval. So when total cost is, below 50, then it would, and its billable time, it would go to, or um, it would go to accounts payable. If it's higher than or equal to $50, it would go to the manager. If it's higher or equal to $500, it would be going to the director. If it's higher or greater than or equal to 2,000, it would go to the VP. Otherwise, it would go to no one. Hmm. Um, Maybe they needed to switch this down to here for accounts payable. Or maybe they need someone here because, what happens when your total cost is, um, you know, like $10 and it's not billable time. Where is it going to? You know, that kind of thing. So, um, the application evaluates the decision table. Each satisfied row and condition adds the results to the list of approvers. Approval assignment are routed to approvers and the list of order of list appearance. So, when using a decision table with an authority matrix, set the decision table to evaluate all rows to return a list of results. Otherwise, the decision table returns only one result. Okay, so evaluates all rows and returns a list of results. Um, so you're going to have to make sure that you get that list if you're going to evaluate all rows, right? So if a consultant submits an expense report of $700 that it includes billable time, the application creates an authority matrix with 3 approvals: accounts payable, manager, consultant, and director who oversees the consulting department. So you can figure in a cascading approval step for insurance claims. The request requires approval from the user's manager. However, approval from operators and units in the organization and other organizations may be required. Which approval model should you use? Okay, so um, approval from operators and units in the organization and other organizations. So it's outside sources. So you'd want to use an authority matrix, right? Yeah. So there we go. Now let's go through the other 3 answers here and show why, right? So um, work queue is not a routing option when using cascading approvals. So, you know, work queue is more along the lines of, you put the request into that work queue and it'll be processed or something like that. That's about it. It's not necessarily a sense of approval. It's more along the lines of, hey, I'm getting some work and I need to get it done. That's about it. So, um, reporting structure. Let's go with that one. The reporting structure model is limited to approvals that work through the user's reporting structure. So, um, so the um, so you have a certain reporting hierarchy there that that the reporting structure model is lined up with. But because it goes to other organizations, this can't be used. If it didn't say and other organizations, then the reporting structure might have been perfectly fine. So, and then of course we got approval level. Use approval levels when specifying multiple levels of approval for a reporting structure model. So, there you go. All right, on to the module quiz. How many questions do we have on here? 6 questions. My gosh. Okay. Um. Okay. Any HR representative can approve a candidate application. So single level work queue and HR. So that's what that one would be all about. Um, a direct manager approves an employee's vacation days. So um, unfortunately, it doesn't like show you like what it's all about per se. Like it doesn't show you like, hey, this is about, employees' vacation days or something like that. But here's the thing. A direct manager approves the employees' vacation days. So it's just one reporting manager and that's it. So there you go. A budget proposal is approved by one or more managers depending on amount. Well, you have multiple different amounts here and multiple different managers and so on and so forth. So um, so that would be there. And a project manager and scrum master approve a project proposal on a cross-functional team. So there's that. So that should be fine. Yeah. From the right, drag the running option to the blank rectangle next to the appropriate scenario. So route support requests for customers whose preferred language is Spanish to customer service representatives who speak Spanish. So um, you don't really need a reporting structure for that. And this is more of a work group kind of scenario. So run an expense report to the department manager when expenses exceed $1,000. Um, so you only need one approver for that. So um, although, this actually might be more of a custom approval on that one because rather than employee evaluation to direct manager, that would you know kind of fall more in the line of the one approver. So, and then of course approval to reporting manager, senior manager, and then director. For all approvals. So I think that's what they're trying to look for there. So yeah, there we go. Okay. So consider the requirement for approvals if the change request for a consulting project. Use the criteria in the table to configure a process for running a case to the correct party. Based on the images above, select two parties that must approve the change request. Choose two. So it evaluates all rows. So it goes through, everybody in this list, right? So scope increased, yes. Then it has to go to a project manager, right? Contract change, no. So it does not go to account executive. So we don't need to worry about that. Confidentiality agreement, no. Then we don't need to worry about legal. Budget exceeded, yes. Then we need to go to the CFO. So those are the two that needs to be addressed on that one. So there you go. You add a cascading approval step that uses an authority matrix, and you specify a decision table to determine the approvers for each case. Confirm that the conditions in the table are configured correctly. You test the configuration by entering requests that require multiple approvers. However, the application routes all requests to only one approver. Which of the following actions should you take to correct this issue? Enter approver level for each approver. I mean, you already have it going to like multiple approvers according to the decision table. So, um, uh, okay. So most likely you did not set the decision table to evaluate all rows. So because it's only going to one approver. So, um, you don't need to specify a page list for the authority matrix. That's not needed. Add a row to the decision table that evaluates the submitter's work group manager. No, that's not needed. And an approval level for each approver. I mean, you're already doing that with the, you know, um, you're creating an authority matrix and so on and so forth. So yeah, that should be the correct answer. In which use case do you configure an authority matrix with a decision table? So, um, new hires 90-day performance review must be approved by the work group manager in addition to the new hire supervisor before it can be finalized. No, you don't need an authority matrix from that because it's not going outside the organization. Manager's request for employee salary increases right to the department VP for approval. Nope, don't need to worry about that one. Several editors on the same content development team must approve dashboard content changes before the changes are published to the web page. I don't see any need for an outside source on that one. Depending on the insurance customer type, business or personal, a policy type of umbrella for over 1 million is approved by the business lines or personal lines department underwriter. I Where's the outside sources here, guys? Hmm. I mean, this is the only one that I can maybe think of on this one. I mean, I could probably go with that one for the fact that it goes to like multiple different managers, um, but I mean you don't need uh You don't need one here because it's just going to the department VP and that's about it. Um, this is more of a work queue kind of situation. Um, this also seems like a work queue situation. So, maybe it is this one. But I mean, the authority matrix uses an outside source, so no. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one and see if that's actually what they were trying to go for there. Uh, yeah, application requires a cascading approval for expense reports. Approvals must follow the submitter's reporting structure and the following thresholds. Um, let's see. That's what I'm looking at right at this moment in time, doing the custom levels with, the decision table with the different number of levels there. Um, to use win rules for that, so that's not needed. Um, this is not going to an outside source, so the authority matrix isn't needed. And select the reporting structure configuration, select all levels, which um, the fact that it says a director and a vice president kind of leads me to believe that it's more of a like a custom level than the actual reporting structure. So so that's why I'm kind of picking the first option there. And that one was apparently wrong. Let me go with that option. Well, apparently I did not pass. I got like one or more of them wrong. So let's try this again. Apparently those last two questions did not work um, properly. So scope increased, yes for project manager, and budget increased, yes for the CFO. So yeah, that's no problem. Um, you set the decision table to evaluate all rows. Let's see. I gotta be careful here. I don't wanna, uh, I don't wanna like make a stupid mistake and cause myself some more problems later. So, um, yeah. Okay. Okay, so here's that one question that kind of tripped me up here. So So I picked this one because I was like going, maybe, you know, because each one of these seemed like they were not, they kind of fell more into a work group, I figured. So I kind of went with this one because, you know, maybe this one is using the authority matrix, but yeah, okay. Um, Multiple criteria, type of client, type of policy, amounts require the use of the decision table. In addition, the decision comes from underwriting, which is outside the sales department, making an authority matrix appropriate. Yeah, but I mean, it could still be within the organization though. So I mean, unless they mean organization in the sense of like, hey, your department is the organization and anything outside your department is not part of the organization, which doesn't really necessarily make any sense to me personally, but I guess that was the right answer there. So okay, so we have the HR, um, we have the direct manager, um, we have the budget proposal, and then we have the uh, everybody on the team. So there you go. And then the last one here. Um, so I selected this one, which they said was wrong, and I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. Um, but then again, maybe it's because I selected for the reporting structure. That's why it was. That's why it was probably maybe it was wrong. Um, then I selected this one. You know, once again, using the reporting structure, you know, for all levels. Um, but I guess maybe even that one's wrong. All levels selection requires approvals from all levels, regardless of the amount of the expense report. Right. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. Hmm. That's this is weird. I mean, you'd want it to go through all of these if the amounts are higher. You'd still want to have the manager approve it, then it goes to the director, then it goes to the vice president. You don't want an expense report going straight to the vice president if your amount is higher than, you know, 15. It should be going to the manager first. So so this is why, and this is odd. I mean, are they saying that I need to use an authority matrix because that doesn't work. That shouldn't work. Apparently, they didn't like me using an authority matrix there either. What the heck is going on here? You know, that one's correct. I selected that one, which, you know, they're saying is correct. HR, budget, Scrum, and Direct Manager, and that's approved. Everything is okay, so we move on. And here's the one that they were like, you know, hey, this is a problem. So, I mean, I chose that one at the end there. And even they're saying that that's wrong. What the heck? Don't tell me that it's this one. That shouldn't be correct. If that's correct, if I get 100% on there, then I'm gonna need to know what the reasoning is behind that, because that's you don't use win rules, not for something like that. Okay. Okay. Project manager and CFO. It's correct. Finish. Yes. What the hell? Um, Hold on. Nowhere in here does it mention anything concerning win rules. I need to see what they're talking about on this one. This is very odd there, folks. I don't know what their reasoning behind this is. So give me a second while I try to figure this out. I'm just making sure that everything is looking, you know, is perfectly fine here. Okay, last one here. And they're saying that I need to use this one. What? I'm sorry. No? Okay, there's a problem with this one. Let me send this in because um that's incorrect. What? In the last section, in the last topic, when rules wasn't even discussed. It was all decision tables and 30 matrices. And this answer is when rules? There are several answers that might have been better answers than just when rules for this particular question. Could you explain to me why this answer is correct? Because you could use a reporting structure with all levels or an authority matrix if necessary. Why when rules? That what? This makes no sense there, folks. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like I said, the last section didn't even discuss win rules at all. So it was all about decision tables and authority matrices, and that's it. Nowhere did they discuss anything concerning win rules in the last topic. So I think they screwed up on this particular question. You know, especially when you have like multiple different um multiple different requirements for this is a cascading approval process. Nowhere in the cascading approval does win rules come into play. So what? Okay, whatever. Not sure what the heck was going on there, but um, does it does it seem to me like the person that did the remaining modules for the system architect just not give a damn for the remaining 26 modules and 23 challenges? Because I mean, the challenges aren't testing the challenges at all. These questions don't seem to be, um, answered properly, or have the correct answers to them. It's like, what's going on here? I don't know. But that's where we're gonna go ahead and call it at this point. Um, you know, uh, if there's something that if you're like reading and you're not really understanding from Pega Academy, put in that suggestion or feedback or something like that. Ask them to clarify because as you saw, there was clearly something there that was, you know, um, wasn't even addressed. So it was like, what's going on here? Why are you suddenly saying, hey, you can use run rules? It's like, wait, what? You're doing a cascading approval and you're saying when rules are okay, but in the um, in the topic itself, you didn't even discuss when rules at all. You're saying, hey, use decision tables or an authority matrix. That's it. So yeah. Well, we'll move on there, folks. I don't know what's going on there, but um, it's just another one of those things where it's like I get um there's parts of Pega Academy that throws me to the side that kind of slaps me with it feels like a completely wrong answer. So I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see from when they reply back to me on these because I feel like there's a problem with that, and I hope that they do reply back. But I know that they're also busy, um, so we'll just have to wait and see. Um, and we'll we'll keep on plugging away. If I do get some email replies back, then obviously I'll let you know about it. But yeah, that's it. That's where we're gonna go ahead and end today's uh, Pega certification portion of today's stream. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hopefully you'll help me out with the YouTube algorithm. With all those likes and subscribes, that would be fantastic. Feel free to check out the description for all, links that I have, social media, Patreon, everything there, pretty much. Feel free to check them all out. Um, you know, some of them help me out directly. Some of them might actually help you out, potentially. Like my team robot, for example. You know, um, I'm trying to build a team that is meant to help everybody on the team. Everybody should be getting like an equal share of help. So at least that's what the idea behind it is supposed to be all about. So at least that's what I'd like to see. Um, we'll see what happens. But I would love to get more members in the team. Okay. So check out the description for it for more information. But yeah, that's where we're gonna go ahead and call it for today. We're gonna be going on to some video uploads, and then we got Terraria later on tonight. So see y'all. If you're with me right now in the stream, then stay right there. If you're watching this later on YouTube, then feel free to check out the other um, my other playlists, my other videos, and don't forget to comment. So take care. Have a good day.